I, 32M, am still trying to wrap my head around what happened at my own engagement party. It feels like a scene from a bad movie, but it was horrifyingly real. My fiancée, Anna, 30F, and I have been together for 2 amazing years, and we decided to host our engagement party at a lovely garden venue. It was perfect, soft lighting, about 60 of our closest friends and family, good music, great food. For the first time in a long time, I felt completely, unshakably happy. The peace lasted until the toasts. Just as Anna's dad was finishing his speech, a voice cut through the applause. A toast to the happy couple. May they be as loyal to each other as Liam was to me. Every head turned. Standing at the edge of the patio was my ex, Clara, 31F. We broke up nearly 2 years ago, and the separation was not amicable. The 18 months since had been a slow drip of harassment. A wave of cold dread washed over me. Anna grabbed my hand, her knuckles white. Before anyone could react, Clara strode into the center of the room, holding up her glass. My best man, Mark, caught my eye from across the room and subtly pulled out his phone. He cheated on me, Clara announced, her voice dripping with venom. And he'll cheat on you too, Anna. A leopard doesn't change its spots. The air went thick with shock. I could see the confusion and hurt on Anna's parents' faces. A few of my friends who knew the real story started to stand up, but I gave them a slight shake of my head. Losing my cool was exactly what she wanted. I let go of Anna's hand, took a deep breath, and walked towards Clara. I kept my voice calm and even. Clara, everyone's entitled to their opinion, however misguided. But you are not welcome here. She smirked. I'm just warning her. It's the right thing to do. Someone has to protect the poor, naive woman you're about to manipulate. This was her performance. But I had a script of my own. You're right, I said, my voice still level. Let's talk about protection. I walked over to the table where my briefcase was. I had a horrible feeling she might pull a stunt like this, and I came prepared. I pulled out a thick folder. I handed the top page to Anna's father. That's a copy of the active restraining order against Ms. Albright here, I said, my voice now loud enough for everyone to hear. It stipulates she is not to come within 500 feet of my home, my place of work, or me. As you can see, she is in violation of that order. A collective gasp went through the room. Clara's face paled. And these, I continued, fanning out several more documents, are some of the police reports I have filed over the last 18 months. For slashing my tires, for creating fake social media profiles to harass my colleagues, for showing up at my apartment building at 3 a.m. The list goes on. I turned back to Clara. Her smugness had evaporated, replaced by raw panic. You aren't protecting anyone. You're a stalker, and you just broke the law in front of 60 witnesses. A few minutes later, as Clara was attempting to argue, 2 police officers walked in. Mark's call had been efficient. We got a call about a disturbance, one of the officers asked. Yes, officer, I said calmly. This woman is violating a restraining order. I have a copy of the order right here. One officer took the document while the other looked at Clara. Ma'am, is this true? Clara immediately started to cry. He's twisting everything. He's the one who tormented me. I just came here to warn her. The officer was unmoved. He spoke into his radio to confirm the active order, and the response came back quickly. Ma'am, he said, his tone firm, you are under arrest for violating a court order. Her fake tears turned into a torrent of real, furious ones as they put her in handcuffs. She was screaming about how I was a monster and how I was framing her. As they escorted her out, the entire party was left in stunned silence. The mood was ruined, but as Anna wrapped her arms around me, I knew Clara hadn't won. She just showed everyone exactly who she was. Update 1, a few weeks later. It's been a wild few weeks. The fallout from Clara crashing the party has been swift and messy. Clara was charged with a Class A misdemeanor for violating the restraining order, which the DA told me is serious and could carry jail time given the blatant nature of the violation. She spent the night in jail before her parents bailed her out. Of course, Clara didn't stay quiet. Her older sister, Megan, who has always been her biggest enabler, launched a full-scale smear campaign online. She painted a picture of her traumatized sister being brutally arrested at the behest of her abusive ex. She claimed I was a master manipulator who used the legal system to control and silence Clara. It was a masterpiece of fiction. A few of our old mutual friends, the ones who were more her friends than mine, jumped on the bandwagon, and I started getting accusatory messages. Then the campaign escalated. I was called into a meeting with my director and an HR representative. They had received an anonymous email accusing me of unstable and aggressive behavior and alleging I was using company time to stalk and harass an ex-partner. It was a clear attempt to get me fired. I kept my composure and calmly explained that I was the victim of a protracted harassment campaign. I provided HR with a restraining order and the police report number from the engagement party. My boss, thankfully, knows me well and was supportive. HR documented the complaint, but stated that unless there was concrete evidence, which there wasn't, no action would be taken. Still, it shook me. That night, the anger and stress hardened into resolve. She was trying to poison every aspect of my life. I wasn't going to play defense anymore. I got on the phone with my lawyer. By the time we hung up, we had a plan. The next morning, we filed a civil lawsuit against both Clara and her sister Megan for defamation, libel, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We weren't just going to make them stop. We were going to make them pay, literally. Update 2, 3 months later. The past 3 months have been a slow, grinding legal battle. Clara's lawyer immediately filed a motion to dismiss our suit as frivolous and even filed a ridiculous countersuit for the public humiliation she suffered. My lawyer assured me it was a standard tactic that wouldn't succeed. The harassment, meanwhile, continued in pathetic ways. We started getting unordered food deliveries and strange magazine subscriptions. Then I found a note on my car that said, "Karma's coming for you." I installed a dash cam and continued to document everything, forwarding it all to the police and my lawyer. The biggest break came from the discovery process for our defamation suit. After some legal wrangling, the judge granted our request for all social media data and text messages between Clara and Megan related to me. What we got back was a goldmine. It was all there. Text between the sisters planning the online posts. Megan messaging Clara, "Stick to emotional abuse. It's harder to disprove." Clara replying, "Fine, but everyone needs to know what he is." They had even drafted the anonymous HR complaint in a shared document. One text from Clara to her sister stood out. "Don't worry, by the time I'm done with him, he won't have a leg to stand on." This wasn't a case of two emotional people venting. This was a calculated, malicious conspiracy. When my lawyer presented this to their attorney, the tone shifted. The blustering stopped. We received a lowball settlement offer. I told my lawyer to reject it without a counter. We shared the evidence with the DA's office. The prosecutor was thrilled. While she couldn't add new charges based on the text alone, she said this evidence of premeditated malice would be invaluable in the upcoming criminal trial to show a pattern of behavior and argue for a harsher sentence. The revenge isn't about a single grand act. It's about letting their own words, their own hate, bury them in a court of law. Final update, 6 months later. It's over. The final gavel has fallen. It's been 7 months since my engagement party was turned into a circus, and I finally feel like I can breathe again. First, Clara's criminal trial. The prosecutor used the text we uncovered to paint a clear picture of malice. When the message about sticking to emotional abuse because it's harder to disprove was read aloud, a visible murmur went through the court. Clara's mother, who was in the gallery, began to cry. The judge found Clara guilty. At sentencing, he called her actions a textbook case of obsessive harassment and condemned her attempt to weaponize a smear campaign. He sentenced her to 90 days in county jail, followed by 3 years of probation, a significant fine, and court-mandated psychiatric counseling. With the criminal conviction secured, Clara and Megan had no leverage left in our civil suit. They were facing a trial where a jury would see the same damning evidence. They folded. Their lawyer approached us with an offer to settle, and this time we dictated the terms. Astra's financial damages. They had to pay a substantial 5-figure sum covering all our legal fees, the cost of therapy for Anna and me, and punitive damages. Astra's public retraction. Both Clara and Megan were required to post a court-approved apology on their social media profiles. The text explicitly stated that their previous allegations were false, fabricated, and malicious. It had to remain pinned for 180 days. Asterisk no contact for life. A legally binding agreement that prevents them from ever contacting me, Anna, or our families again, directly or indirectly. The fallout for them has been total. The public apologies and the news of the conviction destroyed their reputations. Megan, while avoiding criminal charges, is now tied to the financial judgment and the public disgrace. Clara has a criminal record and, I've heard, is struggling to find work. Her life was derailed not by me, but by the consequences of her own choices. As for us, Anna and I got married 2 months ago. It was a small, quiet ceremony on a beach. It was perfect. This ordeal was hell, but it proved the strength of my relationship with Anna and showed me who my true friends are. The revenge was simply letting the system she tried to manipulate work as intended. She faced the logical, unavoidable consequences of her own hate. That's the most satisfying victory of all.